We had a sutta study last time, and I was overwhelmed with many books here, like a mountain. So I thought maybe I better summarize it and put it here so that we can see directly all of us there. So my Dhamma brothers and sisters, and thank you very much for coming. And it has been a while conducting a Sunday program. Almost 5 years, isn't it? So I'm so happy to be able to conduct this Sunday program at BF. So today I'm going to talk about right speech. Right speech, it's very, very important for our progress to enlightenment, to happiness and peace. And you can tell from your experience that really speech can bring or promote friendship, but also speech can also cause a lot of hatred. Yes, for me, when I look back, most of the people whom I have, or they are not friendly to me, is because through what they said. Through what they said. So speech is very, very important. And I remember even when I was with my grandmother, she didn't speak English. So I was in primary 6. She asked me to fetch water. But they had already taught us in primary 6 in biology, zygospore. That's what biology. And the word, it was so difficult for me. So I decided to go practicing it. Zygospore. So when I reached home, my grandmother said, "Can you bring me water?" Still I was saying zygospore. But zygospore in my language, you say, it means 𝑝𝑒𝑟𝑒𝑠𝑒𝑐ℎ means, do you think I don't get tired? So in other words, my grandmother translated that I've told her that, do you think I don't get tired? So I said, no, I was just repeating what I was learning in the class, zygospore, and say, in my language, it means 𝑝𝑒𝑟𝑒𝑠𝑒𝑐ℎ. That means that you are telling me to get water. That, don't you think I don't get tired? You see? So we see there a misinterpretation of what I was saying, and my grandmother was not happy because I'm telling her that please go and get it yourself. For me, I'm tired. Again, speech. Long time ago in Uganda, there was a king, and he had subjects, and now they had imprisoned people, and now they brought the prisoners to the king, and they explained these prisoners did this, did this and this. The king said, please release those prisoners. But the word release in Uganda, mute means release. Mute means to kill. So this is it's just a question of one letter missing. And the king said mute means release the prisoners. So when they went, they cut off, executed the prisoners. And then after that, they went back and reported the king. We have already killed them. He said, what? I just said release them. And you have killed. So many words like that in English also, they can have two meanings. Actually, some words have the same word, but has different meaning. Let's say minute. Minute, minute, minutes. It's the same word, but pronounced differently. Last year I was teaching in Massachusetts, USA, and then there was a participant who said that we got the refugee to the Dhamma. Dhamma means everything in the world. How can I go to the refugee to the Dhamma? Even Dhamma means anger and all these things. Anger is also part of Dhamma, craving and all this kind of thing. This is Dhamma teaching. That's what he said. Those are Dhamma teaching. The Buddha talk about anger and all this. So he said, I cannot go to refugee to people who are killing others out of anger and all these things. I said, no. Dhamma means different things in different contexts. Right? Just like the word minutes, it can mean the minute hand like this, 20 minutes. It can mean agenda, minutes. It can mean small. We are still using the same word. Yeah? Yeah? I will spend 20 minutes going through the minutes of our meeting to go through minute details. I'm using the same word 3 times, but different context. So now we can speak, I'm telling you, in a different context, and people may misunderstand us. Yeah? So it's very, very, very important to go through what's right speech today and understand what's right speech according to the teachings of the Buddha. So we start. Okay. So this is I'll do the introduction speech and talk about right speech conclusion. Introduction. Right speech is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, just to give you the context, and serves as a basis and support for achieving peace, happiness, and final liberation. So if you're a person who wants peace, if you're a person who wants to be happy, if you want also to work towards your liberation, you can start today and work on your speech. So now we are going to go through different discourses where the Buddha talks about speech, and later on we are going to talk more about what's called even Buddha speech, to speak like the Buddha. Do you want to speak like the Buddha? Today you are going to speak like a pro, speak like a pro. And also we are going to see also the speech the Buddha gave to his disciples, lay people, and monastic. So with monastics, even he raised a high standard. We are going to see this. All right? So we start. All right. So now there's a whole discourse which is called reflection on speech, before speaking, during speaking, and after speaking. This is in Majjhima Nikaya. It's called Ambaratika Lahurovada Sutta. This is a discourse where the Buddha gave advice to Lahura, his son. And I've just summarized it here because, as I told you, I don't want to heap a lot of books here. But in this kind of discourse, the Buddha is talking about, before speaking, have what you call mindfulness reflection. And I put the word consequential principle. Actually, this should be actually with a PLE. Sorry about that. That's not the spelling of principle there. I meant with the PLE. So this is looking at the consequences of your speech, right? Looking at the consequences. That means before speaking, if your speech is leading to affliction of oneself, others, or both, that's called what called unwholesome speech. So the Buddha said, don't do it. Now he's advising his own son. Versus another kind of speech before speaking, if the speech is leading to the happiness of oneself, others, and both, that's called wholesome. Do it. Go for it. Just do it. Right? So now this one, we're going to during speaking now. During speaking, if your speech is leading to the affliction of oneself, others, or both, it's called unwholesome speech. Do not do it. Right? Then if it's leading to happiness of oneself, others, or both, it's called wholesome speech. Continue doing it. Then also after speaking. This is amazing. After speaking, if the speech is leading, you reflect that it led to affliction of oneself, others, or both. If the answer is yes, it's called unwholesome. So confess it, lay it open to the teacher, acknowledge to the fellow Sangha, it should be a capital S also there, and exercise restraint in the future. On the other hand, if it's leading to happiness of oneself, happiness of others, or both, if yes, it's called wholesome speech. you should stay mentally refreshed and joyful, training day and night in skillful mental qualities. This is amazing. This discourse come up with the similes, but let us just focus on this mindful reflection. Have you heard about a saying that I never regretted when I was silent? Actually, most of the regret that we have is through speech. When you say something and you remember, oh, I wouldn't have said this, then there is a lot of what we call guilt, a lot of remorse, and it can haunt you the whole of your life. Especially when you lose your relationship. You know, it's not easy to develop relationships. But you say one thing, I'm telling you, you lose it. And then you cannot even reverse the words you said. So this is very, very important to follow this advice the Buddha said. It's called the consequential principle. All right? So now there is something that I want to draw your attention, this one. Because we monastic, we do it in general, not only speech, but also in free kind of breaching the precepts or encroaching on a precept. When you encroach on a precept, let's say if you break the precept, you have to go through systematically in 4 steps. One is to first acknowledge that you have goofed. You acknowledge that you have done something, what? Unskillful. Because sometimes there's a tendency to justify, no. I did it right, you know. But actually acknowledging and accepting that I've done something wrong, unskillful, is a very important step. Because most people say, okay, we keep 5 precepts. What about if I break 1? What do I do? Am I going to go to hell? Well, it's really important to really know from Buddha's teaching, we reflect on and accept, instead of living in self-denial, we just accept, acknowledge that I've done something unskillful. That's the first step. The second step is determination. This is not written here, by the way. I'm just telling you exactly. Some of it is written here, but I'm just really go over it. Determination in the future not to do the same thing again. That's the second step. Determination to do, not to do the same thing in the future. This is what we call exercise restraint in the future. Don't do the same thing again. The third point is amend. Amend according to the Dhamma. What's amend? Amend means should you recognize that you did something unskillful, you can say sorry to somebody. You can say sorry, I didn't mean to do it. And at that time when you are amending to the Dhamma, you need to do 2 things. One is looking at the impact of what you did, and also your intention. It has to be a tandem, both of them. You have to really say, sorry, my intention was like this, but it impacted you in a negative way, I'm sorry. Because most of the time we go to tell people I'm sorry, but we justify, wow, I'm a very good person, you know I cannot hurt you in this way. We go there, but actually we are trying to cover ourselves and be safe and say, well, I'm a good intended person. Do you think I can hurt you? No. You had good intention, but you never know how it landed, how it impacted the other people. So when you amend, you have to remember both the intention and the impact. Whether your intention was positive or negative, skillful or unskillful, it doesn't matter. You just acknowledge whether your intention was I was actually abusing you, but I was angry. You acknowledge, yes, I was angry and I intended to abuse you, but I know it impacted you. You suffered a lot. Darling, I really apologize. I'm sorry about it. You know? But most people go say, I'm a good intended person and all these things. I cannot hurt you. But I say sorry for the sake of you asking me to say sorry. Most people, you know, they ask us, please, can you say sorry? And then we say, this person is nagging. Let me sorry for the sake of saying sorry. No way. You have to really know how your intention, how was your intention, what was your intention, and then recognize also how these things impacted other people. In many ways, I've seen actually most people are looking really at one thing that I found out from my experience. People want always to acknowledge that you are sorry, actually. That's what people, especially in the United States, where I teach most people, they want to really make sure that you are sorry. But in general, second thing I found out is that in general, people just want to know that you understand where they're coming from. You understand them. Oh, you are angry. Oh, I understand. It's very painful for you. It must be painful for you. I said these words, but I understand that it might be, must be, the way it landed to you, it must be very painful. So now, putting yourself in their shoes, that helps to amend the situations. Okay, the fourth stage. Okay, amending means, let me go to amend again. You can go and retake the precept. Go in front of the Buddha statue and then retake the precept. Okay, again. And or you go into the 5 precept again. That's amendment. It means forgiveness. What about people whom we cannot see again at all? You did something in Uganda and you came back to Singapore. No, you can't see this person and you cannot say sorry and all these things. So for me, when I was starting this practice, I would go to a tree. I could go to a tree and I just feel all these persons in the tree. Like this is Sister Jenny, you know. I'm sorry, Sister Jenny. Forgive me, I didn't eat your food you brought me. But I didn't intend. I was just full, you know. So really, you can bring some kind of a physical image, and because sometimes it's good to really believe that this person is in front of you. If you cannot put in the memory, you can just go and say sorry to the tree, you know. Go and hug the tree, you know. Yeah, the tree say this is what? This is this person, but okay. People who passed away, don't worry, you know. Just, again, forgive, you know. Forgive. The whole forgiveness practice, I don't know if I've ever taught here, if I've done something knowingly, unknowingly, through body, speech, or mind, out of greed, hatred, and delusion, I ask for forgiveness. I forgive myself, I ask for forgiveness, I forgive myself unconditionally. The fourth stage is actually to do good. To do what? Good. Because that's the Buddha's teaching, isn't it? Abstain from evil, do what's good, and purify the mind. So now you start doing what we call meditation on forgiveness. Meditation on forgiveness is a practice called forgiveness meditation. It's in my book there. I've already written it in my book called Sowing Seeds of Peace. If you want the phrases for forgiveness, when you go here, please open the book. Yeah, so now, are we together with those 4 stages? What's the first one? Acknowledging, accepting that you've done something unskillful. Second stage, I don't hear you saying. I told you the way I teach, you know. I teach is when people want to hear the audience, you know. Yes. What was the second thing I said? Determination. Determination not to do the same thing in the future. It's still here. Exercise restraint in the future. The third one, I didn't write, otherwise I will fool the slides. Number 3 is what? I don't hear you. Maybe I give the mic. You have a moving mic here? Yes, I want to hear people. Because this is what we do monastics, because we keep 227 precepts. So from time to time you find, oops. Yes, from time to time, because we keep so many precepts, sometimes you find out, oh, I didn't intend to do this. You know, you are teaching Dhamma in Brazil and somebody come and hug you, you know. Okay, please pass the mic, I want to hear. Because this information should go inside the head. I'm injecting the Dhamma dose, full dose. Intention? Huh? Intention? I I said, no, I said amend. Don't end, amend according to the Dhamma. That's the third stage. And what's the fourth stage? Huh? I think that's what, you have, please put a board there. There's a board there. I will write this one because if I talk like this, people, yeah. Okay, what's the fourth stage?
Seek forgiveness.
Okay, now let me repeat this. I didn't put it on the slide here because, as I said, I didn't want to cloud the slide. The first stage is to acknowledge. Acknowledge that you've done something wrong. The second stage is to determine not to do the same thing in the future. The third stage is to amend. So ADA. ADA. Accept, determine, amend, not end, amend. And the fourth stage is purify the mind. Do good. Purify the mind, meditate, purify the mind. Okay, so now we go to, when it's happiness, of course, you train. So it's my book you can read. Okay, 5 keys to right speech. This is from Anguttara Nikaya. A statement endowed with the 5 factors, well-spoken, not ill-spoken, blameless, and unfaulted by knowledgeable people. So in other words, you have to speak at the right time. You have to speak the truth, affectionately, beneficially, a man of goodwill, not ill will. These factors are very, very important. I can even put the word right place, not only right time. The Buddha said right time, but Bhante is talking about also right place. You can add it there, because sometimes it can be the right time, but the place is out of sync, Yes, so we can see those examples later on. Any questions? You can ask me later on what is the speech that is on right time, but actually out of right place, in the wrong place, Yes. So then I've told you that now we are going to talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, right speech. Then it's about abstaining. 2 things are going on here. Just like the Buddha's teaching is abstain from evil, do what's good. It's the same template, right? You abstain from lying, from divisive speech, abusive speech. This is abusive. The spelling is wrong here. And idos chatter. This is called right speech. This is by way of definition, all right? So the performance side of that is that we have to speak only the truth. He lives devoted to the truth, trustworthy, and liable, and also meaningful speech, right? So this is very, very important to remember this. So then we go to abstain from false speech. It's the same slide. Then we go to conditions to be fulfilled to break the precept. My friend, there are 5 conditions to fulfill in most of the 5 precepts. But now, since we are talking about right speech, of course, in a precept, they talk about only abstaining from telling lies. But today we are going to talk about right speech. But all these conditions are very, very important. How do you know that you lied? These 5 conditions, all of them have to be present. If some conditions are missing, then maybe it's not a lie. Yeah? I mean, you are not guilty. It might be even a lie, but you are not broken that precept, in other words. So the first condition is that an object, all right, a theme, in this case a theme, let's say, an untrue state of affairs. Second is perception. You are aware that it's untrue statement. The third is even more important, is intention. Intention, a thought of falsehood. So in other words, you have intention to tell a lie. You have what? Intention to tell a lie. Sometimes you didn't have intention to tell a lie. And that's where karma comes in, karmically, the karmic implication here. And then effort is an action of carrying it out, all right? So in other words, the behavior of really now executing it. And then the result, communication as a result of it for lying. So in other words, the somebody whom you lied to, believe in it. Start believing in it. So there are 5 conditions. Even killing, let us go to killing. Also there are 5 conditions that have to be fulfilled for killing to happen. Object must be alive. You perceive that it's alive. That's perception. The intention to kill, the effort to kill, and then something die. So I want to give you some homework to go through all the 5 precepts and all the different things, because this is very, very important. Though it's actually post-canonical, we don't find it in a canon itself, but it's post-canonical. But it's very, very important, because sometimes when especially come to killing, somebody, you might be walking and then you step on a cockroach. I see people, when I lead a retreat, people say, oh, you know, I'm a bad Buddhist, you know, I killed a cockroach. You know. I say, yes. Did you intend to kill it? He said, no. Well, the cockroach died, but you have not broken the precept because there was no intention. The intention was missing. It doesn't mean it's a good action. It's still a bad action, but its karmic implication, it doesn't go through because of the intention. Intention is very important. Your motivation. Is your intention out of greed, hatred, and delusion? As we are going to see very soon, that when we tell lies, normally it's delusion and other things involved for the lie to happen. So are we together? This one I put O-P-I-E. In America, there's a guy called O-P. So O-P-I. So it's called O-P. So I like already to get acronyms, you know. So then, the danger of lying. What's the danger of lying? I have a play with words. The ability to tell a lie is a liability. The ability to tell a lie is a what? A liability. How is it a liability and not an asset? Because you have to have a good memory to remember all your lies. You know? Another thing, once you tell a lie, you have to find another lie to cover it. You know? So you can... I mean, you throughout your life, you keep on finding another lie to really make sure that you cover it, you know? One lie after the lie. So, in other words, you must have a very good memory to remember. Because if you don't remember very well, people will always find out, you know? So you have always to be on alert to remember this, all right? So this is the Itivuttaka. The Buddha said, for the person who transgresses in one thing, I tell you, there is no evil deed is not be able to, the evil deed is not to be done. Which is one thing? This is telling a deliberate lie. A person who lies, who transgresses in this one thing, transcending, concerning for the world beyond, there is no evil thing might not do. He might not do. So this is very, very important. This is, I want to draw you into the life of the Buddha. They say, according to the Buddha's life, when he was still a Bodhisattva, when he was still a Bodhisattva, he did all the breaking all the precepts. He killed, he did this and that, but except one, not telling a lie. That's according to history. So another thing is also very interesting. The Buddha here is telling, for somebody who tells a lie, there is no evil thing you cannot do. That means somebody who tells lies can kill, cannot do this. So sometimes even it's very, very difficult to tell about the impact of these lies, because even also taking intoxicants, also it seems that somebody who takes intoxicants, he will always also forget and tell lie anyway, and also kill and all this kind of thing. So in Dhammapada, this is very, very important to remember. Dhammapada says that if you want to go to heaven, give when asked, tell the truth, and do not get angry. So we found out Buddha simplifying the path to heaven. Buddha simplified it, you know. If you want to go to heaven, what do you should do? Give. And also tell the truth. And don't get angry. That means practice metta, practice generosity, and practice speech. 3 things, and you're already there. So we go. Unskillful verbal behavior for speech. Again, this is very interesting to note that the Buddha, when we talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, actually he didn't spell it out so much. but I could find how spelled it out in the discourse called Chunda Kamaraputta Sutta. That's when he really expanded it out, so that we get the flavor, what the Buddha meant by false speech and other kind of speech. I'm going to read again. You can read this in Anguttara Nikaya. There is a case where a certain person engages in false speech. When he has been called to a town meeting, a group meeting, a gathering of his relatives, his guild, or of the loyalty, i.e. a loyal court proceeding, if he is asked as a witness, come and tell good man, what you know. If he doesn't know, he says, I know. If he does know, he says, I don't know. You see, these things we don't find it in Noble Eightfold Path. This is very interesting, actually. I don't know when the Buddha when he talked about the Noble Eightfold Path, how people figured it out. Because in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, it's not really spelled out, actually, like this. It's only spelled out, now we find it in other places, but at least here, it's really spelled out very well. If he has seen, he says, I've seen. In other words, if he hasn't seen, he says, I've seen. If he has not seen, he says, haven't seen. Thus, he consciously tells lies for his own sake, for the sake of another, or for the sake of a certain reward. So that's how the Buddha spelled it out. Now, her speech. There are few questions I'm going to ask you. Maybe you can ask at the end. We call them moral dilemmas. Moral dilemmas. Like, this is a hypothetical example. It may not happen in Singapore, because I don't think in Singapore you have people who come to your house, thieves, and try to kill other people. I don't think you have this kind of thing. But in our countries in Africa, it's very common to have thieves and entering the house, and they ask you, where's your father? Or where's your mother? When you're young, you know. Would you tell the truth that your mother is there? I mean, you're a good Buddhist, you know. These are called moral dilemmas. Especially when the thief is saying, I want to kill your mother. And you've just studied this precept, and you're a very faithful Buddhist, and then you start scratching your head. The thief asks, please tell me, where is your mother? And you know the thief. What do you do? I'd like to hear more of that during Q&A. These are the interesting questions. Okay, let's continue. And skillful harsh behavior. Again, this is a discourse telling us what is a harsh speech. Harsh coming from, of course, a Norwegian word for harsh, which means really rough, this rough speech, you know. So he engages in abusive speech. He speaks words that are harsh, cutting, bitter to others, abusive of others, provoking anger, destroying concentration. Oh, now you see the problem of speech, abusive speech. Somebody might be coming from meditation and concentrated, and he speaks harsh speech and loses concentration. Do you see how you become a blockage to Nibbana? In fact, this kind of speech, harsh speech, it really blocks other people, but also it blocks you, because if you abuse others, it will come to you. It has a boomerang effect, isn't it? And you just, wow, this was very abusive. You know, my friend, the Buddha somewhere, he said that don't use the tongue as a weapon, as a verbal dagger. You know, what's the most dangerous weapon in the world? You raise your hand. Tell me. Measles? What's the most dangerous one? This tongue is very soft, but it's the most dangerous one. It breaks bones. it breaks buildings. I'm telling you. These people have made weapons, but they have never matched the tongue. It can destroy the entire generation. The entire generation. Somebody can say one thing and it changes all people, you know? you know, the entire generation. So it cuts. It's very sharp. Then abstaining from harsh speech, of course, what should we do? Abandoning harsh speech. The recluse Gautama abstain from harsh speech. So this is what we should do. We should only speak words which are gentle, pleasing to the ears. In fact, there's some culture where whenever you speak like this, they touch their ears like this. It's pleasing to ears. Endearing, that means present. Going to the heart, being amiable and agreeable to many people. This is straightforward. Okay, we go to divisive speech. The Pali word is very interesting. Sunya, pisunya, sunyata, emptiness. You know, people speak a speech that empties friendship. It makes them empty. In other words, it divides people and makes them empty. Pisunya, sunya, sunyata. Come from sunyata. Pisuna wacha. So now, this one engages in divisive speech. What is hard here? He tells there to break those people apart from these people here. What he has heard there, he tells here to break these people apart from those people there. Thus, breaking apart those who are united and stirring up strife between those who have broken apart. He loves factionalism, delights in it, enjoys it, and speaks things that create a division. So it's very, very common to really divide people in my country. And we have a saying that don't put ears on me to make the lion eat me. That's what we translate that in Uganda. Don't put ears on me to make lions eat me. Don't put ears of goats on my head. Ears, you know, some people can put ears on your head of goats so that the lion, you know, lions eat goats. So then when they see, they eat you. So now, most people who want to create divisive speech, they say, do you know, he did this, she did this, she did this, and they heap a lot of things. And then another person starts seeing you in a different way. They're not seeing you as a person, they see you as a goat. And that's a lion comes to you. So in our language is in proverb, but it really speaks to how people divide each other. They say bad things to you, you know. Now we go to another kind of speech. I mean the same kind of speech, but the Buddha is here saying we should abandon slander, and Gautama abstain from slander. He does not repeat elsewhere what he has heard, as we talked about before. But we look at the performance here. He's a reconciler of those who are divided and a promoter of friendship. Rejoicing, delighting, and exalting in concord. He speaks only words that are conducive to concord. So that's another speech. So we go to the last kind of speech. It's called unskillful verbal behavior, idle speech. What is it? He engages in idle chatter, speaks out of season. He speaks what isn't factual, what isn't in accordance with the goal, the Dhamma, and the Vinaya. He speaks words that are not worth treasuring. So we look at also here the performance part of it is that one speaks at the right time, speaks what's factual, speaks on the good, on the Dhamma, on the discipline. His words are worth of treasuring. They are timely, backed by reason, definite, and connected with the good. Now we are going to refer to the Buddha's teaching. Now this is very, very important. Idle chatter is called sampapalapa in Pali language. Blah, 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 blah. Have you ever had that experience? People just waste your time. Just waste your time this and that and that and that and that. Blah, blah, blah. We call them blah, blah. In Uganda, we call it okupalapalanya, palapalapa. Everywhere the word is, even in Sinhalese, everywhere I found out this word is actually having a sound that really talks about the way how it is. Whether it's blah, 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 whether it's sampapalapa, whether palapalanya. I don't know in Singlish. What do you say in Singlish? Blah, blah, blah. Eh? Blah, 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 la. Eh? Blah, 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 la. Eh? What do you say? I want to learn Singlish. Eh? I don't know. But I think it's very easy. That's the best way to learn Singlish. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Sister Jenny accused me of actually no, Sister Eileen is here. No, she said my la is not yet smooth. Okay, now you know this blah, 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 blah. Talking just about everything under the sun. Okay, we go to the speech connected to other paths. So you should know that speech, in order to be leading to liberation, it should be connected to the Noble Eightfold Path. And that's a whole discourse now the Buddha gives, different one. It's called Mahachatari Sutta. Now, I think I've been talking a lot. I want to hear somebody to read. Please, my sister, read it. Yes, please, come. Oh, you have one, please read. Because this is more of a sutta study.
And what bhikkhus is right speech that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. The desisting from 4 kinds of verbal misconduct, the abstaining, refraining, absistence from them in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right speech that is noble, a factor of the path. One makes an effort to abandon wrong speech and to enter upon the right speech. This is one's right effort. Mindfully, one abandons wrong speech. Mindfully, one enters upon and abides in right speech. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus, these 3 states run and circle around right speech: right view, right effort, and right mindfulness.
So my Dhamma brothers and sisters, most of the time when we learn Dhamma and we just isolate one part and say right speech, one doesn't see why the Buddha was teaching it. But when we put it in a context, you find out the purpose of Buddha's teaching on the right speech. Because it has to be around those 3 factors. Right view, right effort, right mindfulness. So the intention, what's your intention when you're speaking? So now you should really now look at, whenever you speak, look at what's your intention. Is it to fill the void? Is it to harm others? Is it out of metta loving kindness? Try to really, even when people speak to you, and then you feel hurt, try to ask, what was your intention when you're speaking to me? Yes. So it's very, very important to remember those 3 things. In general, we have to connect that to all the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. All of them. We have mentioned 3 major ones here, but it has to be connected to all other factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, including right concentration. Okay? Now, monastics. Now we are moving to the monastics. Monastics, the Buddha set high standards. The Buddha set what? Very, very high standards. He says, speak what's in accordance to the goal, in other one, Nibbana, the Dhamma and the Vinaya. Words that are worthy treasuring. The Buddha said, monks, whenever you meet, talk about the Dhamma and or maintain noble silence. That means when monks are meeting, they are expected to do what? We meet each other, the monks, especially when we meet each other. We want to make sure we are talking about the Dhamma, and if we don't talk about the Dhamma, we have to observe noble silence. And that's the second jhana, my friend. We are not talking about total silence. Total silence has nothing to do with jhana. It means, in other words, we should be in that state of mind. That's a higher standard, you know. So whenever you should distinguish between what's noble silence and total silence. The Buddha actually didn't encourage people to be total silent. That's muni. Muni means silencing the defilements, not silencing the words. Are we together? Muni, the word muni, sacha muni. Muni means one who has silenced mental defilement. He didn't, because those practices were there already in India. People who could keep quiet for the whole month. Not keeping, if keeping silence is the way to enlightenment, all people who are dumb would be very enlightened, isn't it? All people who are dumb, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they will be all enlightened, you know. So the Buddha didn't really so much encourage about total silence. It was about speaking the Dhamma. And also, noble silence is something different. It's not the same as total silence. Noble silence, that's why it's called noble. So it has to be in the second jhana. Wherever you hear the word noble, don't use it in a very common sense. It has to do with the Noble Eightfold Path. So when we talk about noble silence, you go in the centers and say, keep noble silence, keep noble silence. Well, these people have just come to the retreat. How are they going to get in the second jhana? So anyway, this is the usage of the word. So now we go to the kinds of speech to be avoided by contemplatives. Well, this is the monastics. This is teaching to what? To contemplatives. This, who can read? Now I want my brother to read. My sisters read. Because I like, give somebody to read because we are in a sutta here.
Eileen is there.
Yeah, Sister Eileen, no. She can't see her. Another one from this side. Come. This one, somewhere here. Yeah. She's off the hook. Yes, somebody from here. This is the speech that should be avoided. This you find in a discourse in Digha Nikaya. Please read it for us.
Okay. Whereas some Brahmins and contemplatives living off food given in faith are addicted to talking about lowly topics such as this, talking about kings, robbers, ministers of states, armies, alarms, and battles. Food and drinks, clothing, furniture, garland and scents, relatives, vehicles, village, towns, cities, the countryside, women and heroes, the gossip of the streets and the well, tales of the dead, tales of diversity, philosophical discussions of the past and future, the creation of the world and of the sea, and talk of whether things exist or not. He abstains from talking about lowly topics such as this. This too is part of his virtue.
So, we are expected to do that. So there's not talking about King of Uganda and all this kind of thing, you know. So he set high standard. It's very clear that he set high standards. So then, by the way, I have a question. Can you do this? How can you do I don't know how you can live your life laugh, you know. Okay, so anyway, but you know that's what the Buddha told to be avoided by somebody who's working on his way to enlightenment, all right? Now, the good news, the Buddha always gives us what we should do. He doesn't tell us not only what to do, but what not to do, but also what to do. Who can read? This is from Anguttara Nikaya. You just give randomly. Don't worry. Give randomly.
There are these 10 topics of proper conversation. Which 10? 1, talk on modesty. 2, on contentment. 3, on seclusion. 4, on non-entanglement. 5, on arousing persistence. 6, on virtue. 7, on concentration. 8, on discernment. 9, on release. 10, on the knowledge of vision and release. These are the 10 topics of conversation. If you were to engage repeatedly in these 10 topics of conversation, you would outshine even the sun and the moon, so mighty, so powerful, to say nothing of the wanderers of other sects.
Wonderful. So now, next time you go to in a meeting and you tell people, wow, I was concentrated. I was... You can have a meeting and you tell people, wow, I was secluded. I was on a retreat. You know, there are 3 kinds of seclusion. One is physical, just physically from other people, then mental, defilements. Another one is nibbana. So is that the conversation you want to carry out in this modern life? But that's what the Buddha is recommending. That's what we should talk about. Maybe many years that's what people were talking about. But now when we meet, we talk about this and that, you know. We don't talk about so much of this topic, but the Buddha is talking about arousing what? Efforts. These are the topics we should talk about. Knowledge and release is more of an enlightenment and all this. So we continue on. Now the speech to be avoided again by contemplatives. Who can read? Just give the mic randomly. You can just close even your eyes and give it. Yes. Yes. Because we are studying together, you know.
Yes. Whereas some Brahmins and contemplatives living off food given in faith are addicted to debates such as this. You understand this doctrine and discipline? I'm the one who understands this doctrine and discipline. How could you understand this doctrine and discipline? You are practicing wrongly. I'm practicing rightly. I'm being consistent. You're not. What should be said first, you said last. What should be said last, you said first. What you took so long to think out has been refuted. Your doctrine has been overthrown. You're defeated. Go and try to salvage your doctrine. Extricate yourself if you can. He abstains from debates such as this. This too is part of his virtue.
Okay, that's very good. That's straightforward. So many people use the Dhamma just to argue, you know, argue this and these things, so we should avoid this. So now we go to speak like the Buddha. Who wants to speak like the Buddha? This is it. Criteria for deciding what's worth speaking according to the Buddha. Who is going to read? Okay. Yes. Sister Jenny, where is Sister Jenny? I want that blackboard because I want to make you easy to remember this. I want to tell you to make it easy. That board. Okay?
Untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, unenduring, and disregrettable to others. True, correct.
No, just a moment. That number one, the Buddha doesn't speak. The Buddha doesn't what? Doesn't speak. Continue.
So, number 2, Buddha speaks true.
Please speak to the monk.
Buddha speaks true, correct, unbeneficial, unenduring, and disagreement to others.
The Buddha doesn't speak also that one.
Okay.
Now, the third one?
True, correct, beneficial, unenduring, and disagreeable to others.
That the Buddha speak that one out of what? Yes, sense of property.
Sense of
Who can read the fourth one? Please give the mic to another person. Yes. Another, please give it to him. Yes. Number 4?
Untrue, incorrect, unbeneficial, enduring, and agreeable to others. So number 5?
Yeah, number 5, please.
True, unbeneficial, enduring, and agreeable to others.
Yes, Buddha doesn't speak.
Number 6, true, correct, beneficial, enduring, and agreeable to others.
The Buddha speaks. Who can remember this? We are going to close. Please start. Can I? Please, now, because for me, when I teach, I want to make sure that everybody understands. Not read there, please. Stand up. Tell me, here, yes, Brother Eugene, please. Don't look there. So tell me what the Buddha teach. You want to speak? Do you want to speak like a pro? Do you speak? You want to speak like a pro, like a Buddha, or what? Because this is a speech of the Tathagata.
Yes,
now we are
yes.
with the speech of what? The Tathagata.
Yes.
Eh?
I will try my best.
Eh? Tell me what the Tathagata speak and what he doesn't speak.
He speaks the truth.
Eh?
He don't speak the untruth.
Eh?
He speaks things that are beneficial to others, not beneficial to other people. It's endearing to them, not enduring. I know there's a fourth one.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
So let me illustrate to you that you'll never forget. Get me something. I'm going to illustrate to you and you'll never forget this one. What the Buddha can speak and what he can't speak. I'm going to illustrate to you. Did you learn Venn diagram? All of us, we did Venn diagram. Eh? Venn what? Venn diagram. We all did it. Today you are going to learn what the Buddha speaks and what he doesn't speak. Forgive the drawings. This is too big, sorry. Okay. Okay. So, this is not good. Okay, the shapes are not good. Let me try again. Okay. Today you are going to learn what the Buddha speaks. And should I use a black one or a red one? Okay. The Buddha. This is like yams. But don't worry. So long as they all fit. This should be more of a yam like this. This is a Venn diagram, don't worry. Venn diagram, eh? Okay, then another Venn diagram. Another Venn diagram. So there are 3 Venn diagrams, eh? Now, true, untrue, untrue, incorrect, incorrect, and beneficial, and beneficial. This welcome, because this is a positive side, you know, this is 0. This is, when you go this side is positive, isn't it? This is negative, eh? So welcome is positive, isn't it? Eh? Agreeable is also positive, eh? On the negative side, we get what we call unwelcome, eh? Unwelcome. Unwelcome, disagreeable. Disagreeable. Today you are going to put this in your head and you know what to do, what the Buddha does. So we feel the same thing. Unwelcome, unwelcome, disagreeable, disagreeable, agreeable. On one side, welcome, 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 agreeable, agreeable, agreeable. The same thing, welcome, welcome, agreeable, agreeable. On one side is unwelcome, unwelcome, disagreeable. So this is easy to fit in because this is a negative side on this positive side. Now we continue. This is true, correct, correct, and then unbeneficial. Unbeneficial. All right? Then this is true, true, correct, correct, and beneficial. Beneficial. Okay? So now, this is speech number 1. Speech number what? Number 1. Speech number 2, the Buddha doesn't speak. The Buddha doesn't speak this kind of speech. Speech number 3, the Buddha doesn't speak. Speech number 4, the Buddha doesn't speak. Speech number 5, the Buddha speak. Speech number 6, the Buddha speak. This is a discourse that I summarized it because I used to love mathematics, and I summarized it like this. You will never forget what the Buddha doesn't teach and what the Buddha teach. So for here, he said that, okay, speak at the right time, and speak out of compassion. All right? Out of what? Compassion. But it's also right place. So for the whole eternity, you start speaking like the Buddha. So just keep on practicing that. So you just remember the Venn diagram, put this on the positive side, put on the negative side, just vary only this. That's all what you have to vary. This one is all the whole set is negative. All the whole set is positive. And then you just have to remember this one which is unbeneficial. And you are done. You are done. You can start practicing and speak like the Buddha. Okay, we continue on. Okay. Here the Buddha say, similarly the Buddha say, then the Buddha said to Abhaya, this is called, that's Majjhima Nikaya, what do you think, Prince, if because of your negligence, he was justifying because Abhaya Raja Kumara, you read the sutta, they were cornering the Buddha. If the Buddha can speak something which is out of anger or something like that. So the Buddha said, because the Buddha spoke to Devadatta. Devadatta, this Devadatta. The Buddha said to his cousin Devadatta, for even an ordinary person might utter speech that is disliked by others, but if he answers, he will not, Prince, say this to him. Then, sir, why exactly did you declare of the Devadatta? Devadatta is going to a place of loss. That's what the Buddha told to Devadatta, that he's going to a place of loss, to hell, there to remain for an eon, irredeemable. Devadatta was angry and upset with you. So, in other words, the Buddha was being challenged by the prince. He said, well, you also speak things which are not liked by others. Why did you say that? So, the Buddha said, no, he speaks out of compassion. Right? He speaks out of compassion. So this is why he gave a simile like this. Buddha gave a simile to Abhaya. What do you think, Prince? If because of your negligence or his Nancy's negligence, your boy were to put a stick or a stone in his mouth, what would you do to him? And then the prince answered, I would try to take it out, sir. If that didn't work, I would hold his head with my left hand and take it out using a hooked finger and my right hand, even if it's to draw blood. Why is that? Because I have compassion for the boy. So, in other words, Buddha uses this kind of speech, but at the right time and also out of compassion. Because it's true, correct, beneficial. Even whether you like it or not, you will find the right time and also out of compassion. It's very, very important to remember. So now we are going to speak like the Buddha. Now, lastly, simile of the boy again. In conclusion, having explored the teaching of the right speech, it becomes abundantly clear that right speech can serve as a basis and support for achieving peace, happiness, and final liberation. So this is a conclusion. I have some kind of course, referenced suttas I've used. I'd like to open to question and answer session if you have any question. But I can tell you there's modern kind of speech that you can add on. There's what we call honey first and vinegar later. When you are speaking, we call it honey first and vinegar later. vinegar. When you use that kind of speech, you first say what's positive, and then you can bring in negative part of it. Yes. And also when I was training as a scuba diving instructor as a layman, they told us, because I was teaching people to go underwater, never use a negative sentence before a positive one. Because people get discouraged and they'll throw their thing and they'll underwater. They will get really some injuries. So you say, I like the way you put on your mask, but you've forgotten to put your... So never use a negative statement when there's a positive statement to do just about the same thing. So instead of say, don't sit here, say, sit here. I've seen it again, especially those who have children, who have teenagers, who have your friends. Children, every time what they hear, don't do this, don't do this. They say, what can I do, la? What can I do? Don't do this, do not. So they grow up hating you because you tell them not what to do. And now you never tell them what to do. So try to tell people what to do and not so much not what to do. Like even precept, you go to a monastery, to go to, don't kill, don't do this. Then people ask us, what should we do now? So me, when I read a retreat, I tell people what to do. You should preserve life, you should do this and this. So people are interested to know what they can do, you know. This is very, very important. Don't put your mask here. Don't do this, don't do this. The whole thing is don't. People are left with nothing to do. You see? So this is very, very important to balance our communication. Then there's another communication, is called sandwich communication. Sandwich communication. So sandwich communication is just like a sandwich. You said something that is good. That's the first thing, bread. Eh? In between, but however, I noticed that he didn't put vinegar in my salad. However, this meal is wonderful. So it's called sandwich communication. And you, husband and wife and boyfriend and girlfriend, work on your communication. If you want to communicate very well in your relationship, start what we call sandwich communication. So that it means people have two positives and one negative. Not a bad deal. But if all the time people have 80% of bad things, they even forget that they're doing good things, isn't it? So we are going to adapt what we call sandwich communication. If you cannot afford sandwich communication, at least you have a last resort. There's another one called save face communication. Save face. Saving face. You start saving the face of others. Like for me, if you come and put the tea here and the power on my computer, and then you put water in my computer, don't do this kind of thing. Don't do this kind of thing. You can do sandwich communication. I like the way you read the sutta, you know. Yeah? But you missed what word. That's a negative part. But actually, you are going to get enlightened, by the way. So that's sandwich communication. Then saving face communication is when you come and put this thing here and the water pour. What's your name? Evelyn. Evelyn, I think perhaps you might think that this is a box. You see how I'm saving her face? I think, Evelyn, you thought that this is a box. That's why I think there's some water here. But he said, you saw that it was a computer and he put water here. You knew. You see? There are a lot of communication, and also starting with the I. These are modern communication, non-violence communication. When I hear you saying like this, I felt discouraged. So it's I, not you. When I heard you saying Bhante, I felt joy. It's me. But every time you, when I is going to come? So avoid you. You did this to me. You talked to me. You did this to me. You locked me inside. No. When I looked for the key and I could not find it, I felt hopeless. Not you forget to give him the key. You forgot the key. You know. You did it intentionally. You know I'm staying here and you forgot the key. You see? So a lot of communication, my friend. Luckily for me, I was very lucky in the United States when I was a layman. I worked as a retreat manager in 2000 in a big organization. And they were paying $500 United States to somebody who came to train us in communication. It's called nonviolence communication. I learned a lot from the Buddha. I learned a lot from the modern world. Anyway, questions? I should stop talking, actually. Yeah?
Bhante, I think we're running out of time, so maybe just
5 minutes, maybe.
Questions. Yeah. Okay.
Communication is the whole world. That's why we spend a lot of time.
Thank you, Bhante.
You are welcome.
Yesterday I was at the nursery and buying seeds. Then I was standing behind the queue where this father has 3 kids, 3 girls, fighting for the trolley. So they were screaming, the toddler was screaming. So the father used me. I'm innocent, I'm in the queue. He says, stop doing it. You're like a clown. See people looking and then look, nobody, only me. But I was not looking at him. I was just keeping my cool. So he's using me to scare his children and say, you all look like clowns. Why are you fighting here? See, she's looking at you. I go, huh? So, Bhante, what? Do we keep quiet or do we say, it's okay, I'm not noticing this, you know? I'm not taking note that you 3 girls are fighting over a trolley in front of me. I just want to stay out of it. So, but the father is using me to scare his 3 toddlers, you know. So, speech, action, what should I do? Thank you.
Every moment it brings a different approach, you know. Yeah, sometimes if there's a danger, if somebody is in danger, let's say somebody is going to cross the road and is going to be squashed by a car, you don't use this sandwich speech. You have to use a negative speech. Stop! To stop the danger, you know. In this case, maybe was there a danger? There was no danger. Was there danger?
No danger, but I think he just doesn't want to be embarrassed by the 3 toddlers fighting for a trolley in the nursery.
Yes. So, in other words, you can use the same speech. You say, when I see you fighting like this, I feel confused or I feel hopeless. So you can share your feeling. But the toddlers, can they understand what you're saying? No. In this case, you just have to do physical. Approach them physically with action. You cannot talk to the toddlers and understand all this. So you use your action and guide them the best way to, So because sometimes speech may not be a tool to communicate. Because communication, we communicate through our thoughts, we communicate through our verbally, and also action. So in this case, you can use a form of communication on action, where you go and tell them, okay, you do like this. So they see, no good. Because they may not understand the complexities of communication. So you cannot bring all this communication. But in this case, you can go there and tell them. Does that make sense? Because you cannot do this communication that we're talking about.
But just that the father was using it to scare his own children, pulling me into the scene, you know. This could be like in office also. They say, someone, don't like, actually they themselves, the management don't like, Then they go, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. So in this case, you have to deal with the person who's trying to pull you in, and you tell them, you face the reality that, at the end he has to communicate to them directly, and also you communicate to them, those who are trying to pull you in, when you are very innocent. You come into the equation innocently. You can tell them, well, I did my best, but I think you can do better job. and eat than me. Yes. Okay. Last question?
Yeah, just last question.
Hi, and thank you, Bhante. Just want to ask, in terms of false speech, what if what I want to say is different from my thought? So, for instance, my mom has cooked a dinner for me.
Sorry?
So, for instance, as an example, like my mom has cooked dinner for me.
Yes.
My thought is telling me actually today's dinner is not as nice as what I would like.
Yes.
But I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Yes.
So I will lie to her and say, actually today's dinner is very delicious. When
Yes.
in fact I don't think that it is delicious.
Yes.
So in that sense, is that false speech? Because it doesn't align with my thought.
Yes, it is. You see, the kind of speeches, actually, that is a lot. I wanted to speak about false speech based on commission, false speech based on omission. Even the three colors of speech, there's a white lie, there's a black lie, there's a gray lie. So I'm telling you, so that's why for us monks, we say food agreed with me. I don't have to say delicious or not delicious. It agreed with me. The food agrees with me. It's the food, not me. we monks, we try to avoid those situations whereby we say, your food is so tasty, and people keep on giving the same food until you okay, food is not very good, then they starve you. They give you food doesn't agree with you. I mean that it does not taste. So you say, the food agrees with me. It's an agreement. And also for us, we eat food not for intoxication or what, for good health and all these things. So in other words, these are benign lies, but all of it still the same. Because we look at what called motivation principles. What we call three motivations. Are you talking out of fear? Are you talking about delusion? Are you talking out of anger? Or are you talking out of attention? What we call greed, attachment and all that. So we have also things that I've not talked about because of time. We have also to look at our motivation before we talk, Are we talking to please others? And are we talking out of anger? Are we talking out of delusion? Are we talking out of fear, Yeah, so you can say the truth, Mother, thank you very much for cooking the food, but that's not my taste. Maybe durian is not the best for me. But I enjoyed the food. I mean, I took the food for sustaining my health. You can say like that. Because you remember the reflection of when we're eating the food, I eat food for keeping my health. Talk about the food is very healthy. It's good for my health. But this exaggeration, wow, this is my best food in the entire world. Don't exaggerate things, because that's called chatter, exaggerating, Don't exaggerate. Say the truth. The food is going to keep my health good. That's the truth, whatever the food you're eating. Yes, so don't talk just to please your mother. But if you say that the food is good for my health, then there's no problem. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Speak sad. Yes.